What's up, the squad? Back with another video. I seen the title's going down. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button for me, please. Y'all see it right here. It says JD Vance Anti-Fraud Task Force just identified $6.3 billion in potentially fraudulent contracts. I'm telling y'all, it's so many things that's going on here. I literally just posted a video of them investigating over 8,000 cases. I'm telling y'all. It says it's absolutely huge. Go after them all. I have 30 days to prove they're real or we get a refund. Check it out right here.
Vance's new anti-fraud task force claiming it's uncovered nearly $6.3 billion in questionable government contracts. The task force has sent out letters to about 400 companies asking for proof that they are legitimate. Aisha Hosni's on this, live in Washington. What you find out, Aisha?
Hey, good morning to you, Bill. So it's potentially a huge loss for you, the taxpayer, but it is a win in that if there is fraud here, it will stop. The fraud czar, JD Vance, and his task force have found that the federal government was apparently handing out contracts to potentially fraudulent businesses. Now the task force is giving these companies 30 days to prove that they are indeed real, and they're demanding things like handing over a physical address or they risk losing their contract. A spokesperson told Fox, if fraudsters are robbing hardworking Americans of their tax dollars and services, we will find them. And there is a lot of pressure on this White House right now to root out fraud. New Fox News polling shows 53% of Americans actually say government spending is wasteful, and that is up nearly 10 points from last year when Doge was out there doging. Just last week, VP Vance swore in the first ever Assistant Attorney General for National Fraud Enforcement with this message to scammers everywhere.
It's going to make fraudsters know that they're going to suffer some consequences, and it's going to make the American people know that these programs are being protected for the people who need them, because there are a lot of them out there. We want to help them, but we've got to get rid of the fraud in order to do it.
And Bill, the acting AG Todd Blanche also launched the new National Fraud Enforcement Division, so much more to come. Bill?
They said all up under one roof. Doesn't it feel good to actually have a vice president that's actually doing something and making things happen, the important things? Kamala wasn't even making important things. Like it was literally when I first started doing these videos and actually looking and seeing what's going on. Y'all know, out of all of that time that I've did that, I don't know what Kamala Harris has done for the American people. Like, I'm not even trying to be funny. I'm being so for real with y'all. The only thing that I seen that Kamala did was talk crazy about Trump. I don't remember like her doing like speaking and saying like, I don't remember. Like I can't. It was more so like, y'all know when y'all It's more so like she was made to do it. Or like she had to do it. Like if she had to go speak somewhere, she had to do it. It wasn't like she was genuinely caring about anybody. If that makes sense. And that's probably why so many people have just, I ain't trying to say this in a rude, mean way, but like, in a sense, like, forgotten about her a little bit, I don't know. Says California AG just said the $250 million fraud scheme involved fraudsters billing taxpayers when they purchase stolen identities out of the state on the dark web. Says Gavin Newsom administration allowed this. They have practically zero safeguards against the jaw-dropping theft. Check it out.
Let me tell you more about this scheme and the criminal operation here. Operation Skip Trace was initially kicked off by a tip from California DHCS, Department of Healthcare Services, of a tip of alleged hospice fraud at 14 companies. DOJ's DMFEA, the Division of Medical Fraud and Elder Abuse, my team, investigated those 14 companies, plus a billing company, and 8 individuals suspected of money laundering. We found that those involved in this fraud, in this scheme, would purchase personal identifying information for people who live outside of California on the dark web, and then enroll them into covered California, posing as California residents. Straw owners then bought up a number of hospice companies and began billing Medi-Cal for non-existent services for those stolen identities. They used fake records, non-existent offices, and fake diagnoses to justify these claims. Meanwhile, the so-called patients were healthy, out of state and completely unaware that they had been enrolled in hospice care. Once the money was paid out, it was funneled through a complex web of over 130 shell companies and hidden across bank accounts, payment apps, and cryptocurrency to evade detection. The money was laundered.
Yeah. What I find interesting about all of this is it's not, and it'll still be a thing if it was something, when we talking about maybe 8 million, 9 million, $1 million, 500,000, 300,000 in fraud, and you had those numbers. This is a $267 million hospice. We just talking about hospice. That is a problem. Hospice isn't the only thing that's the only fraud that's happening in California right now. It's up in the billions. So that just right there, like, the arrest got to be made. Arrest got to be made. I mean, that's just hands down. I mean, we talking about this right here. Says Chris Rufo. I'm pretty sure that's, I apologize, I said his name wrong. Exposed that Gavin Newsom's California is running a $30 billion fraud program meant for home care, up to 40%. Up to 40% of it is fraudulent. Says it operates entirely on the honor system and loses 6 to 12 billion per year. Gavin's total fraud loss is 180 billion. Just like somebody commented, this is a lot of work to do in California because this is absolutely insane. I ain't gonna lie.
Find out about this, and what was the scam?
So the scam is California's in-home supported services or in-home care program. It spends about $30 billion a year. It's one of the state's largest programs. And it pays 800,000 Californians to stay home, mostly with relatives, to take care of them, to cook, clean, watch television. On the surface, it's compassionate. You're taking care of your grandfather or a child with disabilities. But experts say, and this is dating back to the Schwarzenegger administration, and getting worse and worse and worse, that between 20 and 40% of this program is just pure fraud. Fraudulent timesheets, fraudulent billing. It operates on the honor system, and experts say it's losing between $6 and $12 billion a year to people who are taking this compassionate program and ripping it off.
All right, we're going to put that up on the board for everyone to see. The number is because it's between 6 and 12 billion with a B dollars a year. So he was asked about this back in January 29th, and this is what he said.
2021, we did a moratorium on new hospice program. 280 we shuttered. We've been after this for years and years and years. We want an open hand, not a closed fist. We absolutely are here to be a partner to go after waste, fraud, and abuse. No one's denying these issues. But let's also not deny this is purely political.
How would you respond to that?
Well, of course, that's not true. Gavin Newsom, despite all of these concerns from Democrats and Republicans, actually has expanded the program at every turn and dismantled enforcement mechanisms. And the question is, why is he doing so? One reason is because this is now California's largest single occupation. This in-home care program, subsidized by taxpayers, represents about half of all new jobs created under Newsom. He wants to keep that number up. But also because these in-home care providers give about $150 million a year to the labor unions, which are, of course, Gavin Newsom's #1 kind of political power base.
I want to hear again what hold on. Let me hear this again. I want to make sure I heard him correct.
No one's denying these issues, but let's also not deny this is purely political.
We talking billions and billions and billions of fraud. I feel like we real past that right now. It's totally past that right now. I ain't gonna lie. It's past that right now. I'd be so confused as to I'd be so confused on how people even support individuals like him. I'm not even gonna lie. A huge percent. I'm not gonna say all. I'm not gonna say all because it's actually, it's one person that I actually agree sometimes and disagree sometimes with that's of the Democratic Party, but you know, he is supposed to be leaving the Democratic Party. But it's a lot of these individuals on the left that I just don't see how saying stuff like this with this amount of fraud. I don't know. I think this video has pretty much music playing, so I'm going to try to skip through a little bit. But just listen to what she says.
Living in LA feels so weird right now because it feels like a city that's dying. Everything seems closed or empty. Nothing feels busy anymore. So many apartments in my building are, remember it ever being this empty. Half of the buildings on my street are now for sale. Them are for sale.
One thing about it. Who does it? What place does this sound like? Doesn't it sound like New York City? Truly, truly, truly needs replacement, and I'm gonna show y'all who. But once that happens, it's a lot of work to do. It is a lot of work to do. It's actually sickening and pretty much sad on how Gavin Newsom is treating Californians. I'm not gonna lie. Says Dr. Oz confirms there's nearly $100 billion or more in the annual taxpayer dollar fraud, and a lot of it is given. It is Gavin Newsom, California. Says Democrats order fraud protections to be ignored. And it says right here, start locking up politicians. Most definitely. Check it out, Dr. Oz.
Dr. Oz, I know you've been out to California. How did this state become such fertile ground for this massive fraud?
Well, as a start, let me just point out for everybody, this is an affordability crisis, and it is also a brazen attack on the American people because it threatens our livelihood, because folks who are willing to steal your money will also happily steal your health and your life. And it's for those two reasons the president has really gotten upset about some of the numbers he's seeing for predicted fraud, which we think could be about $100 billion annually in this country. And the reason it got so bad in California is pretty simple. Folks weren't willing to make the tough decisions to enforce the rules. For years, the auditors and the Auditor General in particular in California has been crying for some support, especially in hospice, but it's true in home health care and other areas as well. And when I first started going to California several months ago, because I kept hearing rumors about how bad it was, but until you actually go there and witness it yourself, you could not imagine the number of people trying to get help. The industries we're talking about, the legitimate hospice owners, the legitimate home health care providers are saying, please come help us. At that bus you're seeing there that I was blessed to join with Billy Asaili, who's the U.S. attorney in Los Angeles, they were enforcing cases that were discovered years earlier. That victim right there, that perpetrator right there who hurt so many people, she was questioned first in 2022. What happened for the last 4 years? The governor was asleep at the switch. The organized elements that are supposed to enforce the rules did not do it. And the Biden administration actively told folks at CMS, the agency that the president has been administering, that that was not their job. They were supposed to just enroll people into the program. And the question we should all be asking ourselves, is this really a flaw of the system, or is it a feature of these programs for California? And I'll give you one concrete example. When you enroll somebody in Medicaid, Laura, you also give them the right to register to vote. We have commingled two things, which naturally might fit together, but if all you want to do is enroll people in programs without watching out for whether they need to be in those programs, you're going to lead to more fraud. And if you're not watching the till, people put their hands in it. And during COVID, we taught a lot of bad apples that they could steal from the federal government, and they could get away with it.
People are, not only people, but myself, are looking for more and more arrests.
Dr. Oz, I know you've been out
more and more, when it comes down to arrests happening, because this stuff is honestly getting out of hand. I feel like, we constantly talk about it. We constantly say on how much fraud it is and how much, are being taken away from taxpayers. You hear about it all. Not only that, you have a lot of illegal aliens that have a lot of money. They have a lot of money, y'all. Truly. But before we get into that, I I want y'all to hear what Gavin Newsom says. You know, this is the same person that says it's political. This is, you know, ready to bash President Trump and what they're doing when he's doing really, I can't even say that he's doing, I mean, he's not doing nothing at all. Honestly, I'm going to be real with y'all. California is a mess. Check it out.
I think Trump is one of the most destructive presidents and human beings in my lifetime. I think this republic is at real risk, this country being unrecognizable. And I have no patience for people that want to indulge it. I can't stand the crony capitalism. I can't stand all these supplicants that are sitting there bending the knee to this president. I can't stand the universities that have done that, the law firms that have done that, the individual corporate leaders that have done that, the other governors, maybe Democrats and Republicans that have been complicit at this moment. This guy is reckless. He's wrecked this country. We'll not have a fair and free election if we don't continue to fight. That's what matters to me, seriously. I'm the future ex-governor, and who the hell knows what happens the rest of my life, except one thing I know that matters in the rest of my life is I have to look at my kids in the goddamn eye. I mean that, seriously. That's not like a politician thing, to look them in the eye and say that not a peril of being judged, not to have lived in the moment. I think Trump is
This man said, Trump is one of the most destructive presidents and human beings in my lifetime. How are you going to say that? Not only do California look like this, but I mean, if you go down and actually see what Gavin Newsom, we could throw his wife in there. We can throw the victims when it came down to the fire, and he was told what to do, within that, before the fact and after the fact, and still didn't do anything about it. I'm pretty sure out of a lot of the homes that were damaged and this, that, and the other, I think what they say, like 7 or 8 has been rebuilt or something like that, or they started on it. Something like, I mean, it's, when I tell y'all that it's definitely crazy to me, it's definitely crazy to me. Like, I truly don't understand a lot of of being destructive. They're doing everything they possibly can, and they see on how, like, just think about that. Y'all see how bad California is. All you got to do is type in California X, and they're going to show you how bad everything is. They're literally trending in #1 with everything that is negative and horrible. But President Trump is destructive. Completely insane to me. Completely insane. This California woman visits healthcare fraud hotspots in a not great part of the state, and the parking lots are parked with G-Wagons, BMWs, and other luxury cars. This is where your tax dollars are going to. I'm telling y'all. On the Gavin Newsom's watch. Check it out.
The building was mostly barren, bar one unexpected amenity. Listen here.
At the very top, so not really sure what a rooftop lounge is for a healthcare company building, but apparently it's an event space.
You missed the very top of that. She said that there is a rooftop lounge on the top of that building. Republican California Assemblywoman Alexandra Macedo joins us now. Assemblywoman, thanks so much for being with us. Have you found out, since you made that video, what that lounge is for?
No, I haven't. I talked to William, and he said he was able to get up there, that it looked more like a lunch spot for some of these fraudsters than an actual event space. But it is absolutely wild. We're talking about a building in California that isn't even ADA compliant. But if you look on the side of the building, it is advertised as a medical plaza. There is no handicap parking. There wasn't handicap ramps, but it's a medical plaza. Doesn't make sense. Additionally, 157 licenses.
So hospice care is the latest industrial-sized Medicaid fraud scheme. At this address, there was 197 hospice agencies that were listed. And as William said, I think there's only 80 offices there. So each one of those offices is hosting 2.5 of these agencies. Let's play a little bit more of the video that you posted online regarding that building. Listen here.
You can see the sign behind me saying that this is a medical plaza, but it has a rooftop and no patients, by the way. I did not see a single person coming in or out of the building or doctors or nurses or anything like that. It is so peculiar.
You said the building almost looked like it was abandoned. There were boarded up windows as well, but there was one peculiar amenity that the building had, in addition to the rooftop lounge, and that was that the parking lot was full of G-Wagons and other high-end luxury vehicles.
Yeah, I saw Mercedes, BMW, G-Wagons, extremely fancy cars in a not great part of Van Nuys. It was extremely weird, and like I said, there was boarded up windows and then homeless encampments around. Certainly not the place that I would come looking for hospice care for grandma or grandpa.
All right, and you also tried calling.
That ain't nobody in them buildings. That's just like Minnesota. Ain't nobody in them buildings. They sit in them offices, and that's it and that's all. They sit in them offices enough to crack the door open and say, get out of here, leave. We don't want you here. They ain't saying who in there. They ain't going to say who in there. I feel like it's been so much that, and in Minnesota, they actually let you go around in the place and then make up lies and this, that, and the other. But I feel like so many people that caught on now, they don't even do that. They'll crack the door open. It won't say anything. Or they won't answer at all. I'm telling y'all. And they can got G-Wagons. G-Wagons are expensive. G-Wagons are up there. G-Wagons is what? $70,000, $80,000 cars? BMWs, definitely pretty expensive. Start off expensive. And you got not other nice cars or other, new cars. It's other luxury cars. I'm telling y'all. It's horrible. One thing about it, Steve Hilton posted, and I know a lot of people are ready for Steve Hilton to step in. Says this is the year we end one-party rule in California. It's time for Republicans to unite around the leading candidate, and that's me. Check it out.
This is the year that we really can do. I've always said it's not going to be easy to take back our state and kick these Democrats out and get things going, but it's not impossible. And now with a unified party, which I hope we can get, I think that we really can beat them in November.
Let me tell y'all something. One thing about it, and completely being honest with y'all, Steve Hilton, you have a lot to do. He has a lot to do. But one thing about it, we said the same thing about President Trump, and he's doing it. I'm not trying to compare, but it just goes to show you that when it comes to the left, it ain't looking too good. I definitely been following Steve Hilton for a little minute. And one thing that I can say is I definitely feel like he's the right fit for California. I don't live in California, but that's just my opinion. I don't know. Y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments down below. Definitely appreciate y'all. Much love, everybody. Catch y'all next one.